of Norway. 40 kilometers of racing, 4 legs of 10 kilometers. The favourites have to be the Norwegians. They've been so strong in all the Nordic events so far this season. They will face the strongest of opposition from the Russians, the Italians, and the improving Swedes. So the start underway. Important to get an early lead here for the teams. Going first for Norway, Terje Langli. Italians #1, Silvio Fauna. For Sweden, Nicholas Jonsson. For Russia, Vladimir Yurin. And for Finland, Juha Aho-Hauta. Approaching the point where it gets a little bit tighter. They can no longer afford to be spread out like this. They'll break into one single lane. And the Norwegians with Terje Langli up in the thick of it, as you would expect. But it's the Italians who climb first. Silvio Fauna, silver medalist from the Albertville Olympics in the relay, 14th in the World Cup last year. He takes up the lead as they come heading out of the stadium and into the Lillehammer forests. 19 teams. Great Britain represented in a mixed team with Australia. Anthony Evans, the Australian section of that, skiing with Mark Palmer, David Brown and Ed Nicol, and it's Evans who makes the first leg for Australia. The Italians are still leading. It's early days, of course. Behind them, Vladimir Yurin of Russia, and the rest all bunched together. Norway will be looking to make the break early on. They cannot afford to get bunched, and Norway indeed are up in 3rd position. Norway 1, of course. There are 2 Norwegian teams represented. Norway 2, Øyvind Skarnes running the first leg for them. And a lot of Norwegian support, as you can imagine, here in Lillehammer, the Olympic site for next year. And this week hosting the Nordic test events. Biathlon last week, Nordic skiing this week. And ski jumping tomorrow, the test event on the large hill. Very important event for the organisers and the athletes. This is how they broke from the start and began the climb out of the stadium and into the woods. Terje Langli, 1-1 his number. But it's Silvio Fauna of Italy who goes into the lead out of the stadium. Approaching the 1.3 kilometer mark. 8.7 kilometers to go on this first leg. Family day out for the local Norwegians. Kids getting a day off school to come and watch their heroes make their bid for World Cup points. And it is a crucial day for World Cup points with the Nations Cup wide open. The Norway are leading the men's competition with nearly 3,000 points. Italy in second. In the ladies, Russia are taking the lead. And overall, Russia from Norway, but the gap is only 171 points. So it's crucial that the Norwegians put down a good result here today to get them closer to the Russians, who are in overall command of the Nations Cup. But it's the Italians leading. Silvio Fauna, 24-year-old, 14th in the World Cup standings at the moment. Not having the best of seasons, but looking very strong on this opening leg, approaching the 1.3 kilometer mark. And the Russians right behind him. Norway at the moment in 3rd. Team 5 is Finland, Juha Aho-Hauta. The Swiss coming through. The French, as they all come through the 1.3 kilometer mark. We'll take a short break, come back and see how the first leg finishes. Welcome back. As the first leg approaches the 7 kilometer mark. Italy still leading the way. Norway second. Sweden up there with the chasing group. but Silvia Fauno skiing very well. Norway 2 as well with the first 5. The Finnish team slightly lagging. And the Russians losing a little bit on their early lead. Belarus, team 15, passing 6.8 kilometers. The changeover will be all important. So Silvia Fauno for Italy has a little chance to relax, get the oxygen flowing through the body on this very short downhill section. Quite a tough course here in Lillehammer. It's been praised during this test event. The athletes looking forward to competing for not World Cup points, but gold, silver and bronze medals. So Italy lead. Norwegian third team in second place at the moment. Finland trying to keep in touch with the leading group, but losing ground all the time. And Vladimir Yurin looking decidedly weary at the 7-kilometer stage. He's got another 3 kilometers to go. Let's hope he's saved a little bit of energy for the finish. Italy ahead of Norway 3, Norway 1, holding third, Sweden 4th, and Norway 2 currently in 5th. A long way to go. Finland looking out of contention. Russia 7th. The mixed team of Russia and Belarus 8th, USA 9th. Italy 2 in 10th position. So the big surprise of the first leg is that Norway 2 have taken it up from their more fancied senior colleagues in the first Norwegian team. Italy still in front with Silvio Fauno, and that is Fauno, 24-year-old, an alpine soldier, so he gets to ski for a living. In the World Championships, he took the bronze medal in the 15-kilometer classic. 6th in the 10-kilometer and 13th over the longer distance, the 30-kilometer. Silver medalist from the Olympics in Les Saisies last winter in the relay, leading the Italians to a well-deserved silver medal. Silvio Fauno looking stronger than he has all season at this stage. 5th has been his best result in World Cup, but he looks full of skiing, doesn't he, as he comes through the trees under the bridge, which he's already negotiated above him. The course has been laid out to crisscross at certain stages so as to reduce the effect on the environment. It doesn't cover too much acreage, and they'll do 2 loops of 5 kilometers. 3 Norwegian teams amongst the leading 5 groups. Juha Aho-Hauta of Finland, 24th, his best result in World Cup, so on the form book he will struggle to keep up with the leaders, and indeed he is struggling. And Norway have taken it up from Italy. Not the Norwegian A team, but Norway 3, Gerdmund Skjeldal, trying to prove a point, not included in the Norwegian A team, and trying to show the selectors that perhaps he should have been. He's left Fauno into 2nd, and Nicholas Jonsson of Sweden in 3rd as the Norwegian number 1, Terje Langley, comes through, the 27-year-old. Norway 2 making way for Finland. Oyvind Skarnes letting Juha Aho-Hauta past. Team 15 coming past the 8.4-kilometer mark. There's Belarus with 1 Russian in the team, Vasily Gorbachev, no relation, I'm told. Coming through the 8.4K mark. Not far to go now, but it's Norway leading the way as they're coming into the stadium for the final time. He'll go up the small climb here, around the bend. A downhill section takes him towards the stadium. He'll have completed 10 kilometers. And Gerdmund Skjeldal of Norway 3 will hand over to Pål Gunnar Mikkelsplas, who will go into the second leg with an advantage of some 10 seconds or so, depending on how Skjeldal skis these final few hundred meters. Amazing how skiing on home snow motivates these athletes to great things. Who'd have thought that Skjeldal for the Norwegian third squad would be leading as they come into the first change, and it seems to have surprised the supporters, expecting to see Terje Langley of Norway 1 coming through in the lead. Instead, their third team taking it up from the Italians. But a battle going on behind Skjeldal. Sweden going into second, moving ahead of Silvio Fauna, who seemed to go off a little early. He's fighting every step of the way, desperate not to let the Swede past him. Stadium looking quite full to how it's been over the last couple of days. Cowbells ringing, the flags waving for the Norwegians, and they've got 3 athletes on course to support. No doubt about the one who's getting most of the attention at the moment, Gerdmund Skjeldal of Norway. Virtually unknown, he's leading the way. He will hand over to Pål Gunnar Mikkelsplas, who makes his final preparations at the changeover zone. Skjeldal has skied a quite brilliant leg, timed his break to perfection. Waited until he thought that the Italians and Swedes were tiring. He'd saved some energy, and he broke ahead of the field to give his squad, Norway 3, a healthy advantage at the first changeover. But Italy and Sweden right behind. And Skjeldal hands over to Pål Gunnar Mikkelsplas. Tap on the back, and Mikkelsplas has 10 kilometers with which to either increase or decrease that margin. Sweden hand over. Nicholas Jonsson handing over to Tonni Mogren, the world champion in 50 kilometers, a man with incredible stamina. And this is the big surprise. Norway won, well out of it at the moment. So the first change are underway. We'll take a short break. Welcome back. Second leg now approaching its finish. Norway ahead of Sweden, ahead of Italy. So it's all change. Norway won in the form of the great Sture Sivertsen, has attacked his fellow squad member from Norway 3 and has taken the lead. Sweden hanging on in second place at the moment. And what a ski by Sivertsen. With a deficit of some 30 seconds, he really skied the run of a lifetime. Sture Sivertsen, world champion at 10 kilometers, so his speciality. For Sweden, it's Tonni Mogren. 5th overall in the World Cup last year. And a battle between 2 very dynamic skiers at the head of this field. Mogren for Sweden, chasing Sivertsen for Norway. Italy have come through into 3rd at the moment. Giorgio Vanzetta, who took over from Silvio Fauna. 33-year-old veteran of the Italian squad from Predazzo, the home of of Italian Nordic skiing. And the team who led from the outset, Norway 3, following that superb first leg, have lost their place considerably. The battle up front, Norway leading Sweden. Scandinavian challenge at the head of this men's 4x10 kilometer relay. Sture Sivertsen has made the difference between 5th and 1st for Norway 1. Had a very difficult task ahead of him, Sivertsen, when he took over at the end of the first leg. And he really did make the most of it, didn't he? Torgny Morgren of Sweden, tucking in behind him, trying to benefit from Sivertsen's slipstream. Morgren, who we saw ski in the relay in Lahti the other day, to bring Sweden victory. Norwegians were fielding a junior squad that day. Most of their top athletes were down with some sort of flu virus. Morgren was part of that squad that came through to take victory in Finland. Norwegian best back to full health, I'm happy to say, and as they come into the stadium for the second changeover, Sivertsen leads Torgny Morgren, the 29-year-old Swede, world champion at 50 kilometers against the world champion at 10 kilometers. What a battle. A lot of Swedish support here as well today in Lillehammer. Sivertsen rounds the bend into the stadium, just very slightly ahead of Torgny Morgren. Sivertsen's having a great season, and he will hand over to Krista Sorgad. Sorgad finished 12th in that 10-kilometer World Championships, which was won by Sivertsen, his teammate. For Sweden, Torgny Morgren will hand over to Mattias Fredriksson. On paper, Sorgad for Norway, the better skier than Fredriksson, but Fredriksson will be determined not to let his position slip. The work that's been done by Torgny Morgren is vital for Swedish hopes. And Fredriksson must capitalise on that. And there they are, there the changeover. Sivertsen hands over first to Krista Sorgad. Almost exactly the same time, they sprint out of the stadium. Fredriksson slightly ahead. Norway and Sweden still at the head of this field. Behind them, the battle for places continues. Norway 2 in Finland. Around the final bend. Ahead of them, the Italians. Erling Jevne handing over to Sigurd Bloss for Norway 2. For Finland, Jari Isometsa takes it up. The third leg begins. Giorgio Vanzetta handing over to Gianfranco Polvara for Italy. And the team that led from the outset. Pelagono Mikkelsplas handing over to Kristen Skeldal, whose brother skied the first leg for Norway. Their second team. 10 kilometers ahead for the second of the Skeldal brothers. Russia coming through. Damshim handing over to Vorobyev for Team 4. Team 15, the mixed team of Belarus and Russia. Viktor Kamochkic handing over to Igor Obukov. back out of the stadium. They'll come back once at the 5K stage and back round the loop again to complete the 10 kilometers. Team 17, a mixed team, a Finnish athlete, a Slovakian, another Finn takes it up, and their final leg will be skied by Horigomi Mitsuo of Japan, so a truly international team. No doubt about the lead, though, as the battle for World Cup points goes on. Out in front, Norway. Just behind them, Sweden. 0.4 of a second the difference. Norway 2 in third, Finland now in fourth. Italy 5, Norway 3 in sixth position. Russia 7th, Belarus and Russia 8th. Come back again. Welcome back. The battle at the head of the field continues. Norway and Sweden. Krista Soregard leading the way for Norway. Go Krista! The shouts from the crowd. Matthias Fredriksson has none of it and keeps in touch with his Norwegian adversary. Fredriksson skiing beyond his limits, really. He's not used to competing in such privileged company. Soregard for Norway specialises in this distance, the 10 kilometres. Fredriksson, a less experienced athlete. Behind them, Norway 2. Sigurd Brås. 43 seconds off the pace. It's a huge margin. Jari Isometsa for Finland, trying to keep pace with the Norwegian in front of him. Italy, who would have been one of the favourites at the start of this race, well out of it at the moment, almost a minute down. Gianfranco Polvara has been left a lot to do by the opening two Italian athletes. 7 kilometres completed. Polvara with a near impossible task, a minute to make up. This is the battle that is delighting the supporters here in Norway. Sweden chasing the Norwegian #1 team. And at the 7 kilometres stage of leg 3, the team that led at the beginning, Norway 3, team 14, Kristen Skeldal. He will hand over to Egil Christiansen. Back to the head of the course at 8 kilometres. Still neck and neck. Fredriksson just happy to keep tucked in behind the Norwegian. Soregard may make a break for it towards the end of his 10-kilometre stretch. Fredriksson must be wondering whether he has the stamina to stay with the Norwegian. The battle for third continues. Sigurd Brås still keeping the Finnish athlete Jari Isometsa at bay. And the Italians making a little bit of ground. Gianfranco Polvara, very experienced, 34 years of age. 4th in the World Championships at the 50-kilometre. So no shortage of stamina for Gianfranco Polvara. Kristen Skjeldal running the third leg for Norway. Just ahead of Igor Obukov of Belarus, skiing for the mixed team. Germans coming through. Johan Muleg. Just half a second ahead of Alexander Wolobayev. Back to the front as they're approaching the final changeover. Norway 1, still ahead of Sweden. Matthias Fredriksson has skied sensationally to stay with Krista Sorgard. As he tucks in behind him, the slipstream will help Fredriksson just get a few more feet closer to the Norwegian. Making up valuable inches. And can he overtake? He pulls out to the side. Oh, that was slightly unprofessional from the Norwegian. He sensed that Fredriksson was going to pull outside to try to overtake, and he stuck himself in the way of the Swedes' manoeuvre. So on the final leg, it will be Krista Sorgard for Norway handing over to Thomas Alsgaard. Matthias Fredriksson for Sweden handing over to Henrik Forsberg. Alsgaard, Norway's secret weapon, up against 26-year-old Henrik Forsberg. Norway leading Sweden. Just over 10 kilometers to go in this 4x10 relay. The final change just seconds away. What a race. Fredriksson has skied brilliantly. He hasn't given the Norwegian an inch. And he's right on his tail as they come into the changeover. What a race from the Swede. Final bend. Fredriksson for Sweden in the white, handing over to Henrik Forsberg. For Norway, Krista Sorgard hangs over to Thomas Alsgaard. 10 kilometers, it's between these two. No one can catch them. Will it be Norway or Sweden? Well, did he touch him? It's one for the judges to scrutinise. To me, it looked like there was no contact, and the rules say there must be some sort of physical contact. As the changeovers go on. The Finns hand over. Jukka Hartman takes up their anchor leg. Norway 2. Sigurd Brås handing over to Anders Aukland. So the fourth leg underway. Norway leading the field ahead of Sweden. There's nothing in it. Welcome back. The final leg approaching the 5 kilometer stage. They'll come through the stadium once, and they'll go back out on the second loop with 5 kilometers remaining. And Sweden have just edged ahead of Norway by a matter of 10 feet. Henrik Forsberg for Sweden, the 26-year-old, 6th in the World Cup in 1991. That was his best season. Right behind him, Thomas Alsgaard. And Alsgaard in the slipstream. Halfway round the final leg. climax of this race, looking like it's going to be as exciting as it has always promised. Sweden coming back to form. The weakened Norwegians without some of their top athletes following this flu virus. At the 5 kilometer stage, 5 kilometers to go. And for the moment, Sweden owe an awful lot to Matthias Fredriksson, who skied the third leg for them. Very inexperienced, but he skied beyond all expectations to give Sweden the lead at the moment. Can't really call it a lead, of course, because Thomas Alsgaard is tucked in behind and could make his break at any time. Alsgaard looking very relaxed, not even pole planting, almost as if he's toying with the Swede. Henrik Forsberg, the less experienced of the two. And just look at Thomas Alsgaard coasting through. 5 kilometers left, he just skied 5 kilometers, and he looks like he's just gonna sleep. Toying with each other a little bit. And as the Swede invites the Norwegian to take up the running. Forsberg can now just slot in behind and benefit from the slipstream of the Norwegian, give himself a small breather. Finland coming through. Jukka Hartonen, with 5 kilometers left, looks full of skiing. Italy, Gaudenzio Gaudio, and just behind Italy, Team 11 is Norway 2 with Anders Åkland. That's the race for 4th and 5th. Norway 3, who led at the end of the first leg. Egil Christensen skiing the anchor leg for the Norwegian third team. And as his name is announced, receiving an enormous cheer, thunderous applause for Christensen. Norway 3 really did get the bit between their teeth in the first leg. And against the odds, they led after 10 kilometers, only to see that lead slip away from them as the more experienced skiers took over. Russia coming through. Mikhail Botvinov. Just ahead of the Germans with Peter Schlickenrieder. And behind them, Andrei Kirillov of Russia, racing for the mixed team made up mainly of Belarusians. .8 is the difference between Norway and Sweden. Not that it matters because they're locked in battle. Finland 3rd, Italy 4th, Norway 2, 5, and Norway 3, 6. So the 3 Norwegian squads all in the top 6 at the moment. Russia 7, Germany 8, and the mixed team currently 9th. What is astonishing is the ease with which Thomas Alsgaard is taking this final leg, just skating through, cruising. Back into camera view as they come through the forest. Alsgaard trying a little bit harder. applying the pressure and applying the throttle. Seems to have edged just slightly away from the Swede. Thomas Alsgaard, Norway's secret weapon. He's fresh and keen to do well in competition. Been excluded from most of the relay squads this season. Desperate to prove his worth. Henrik Forsberg has been in competition, hard slog all season, and he's losing ground on Alsgaard as Alsgaard calls on his strength and accelerates up the hill. He's opened up quite a significant gap now. 5 or 6 seconds between the two. Alsgaard for Norway leading Forsberg for Sweden. As Forsberg's coach comes alongside to give him some encouragement, try and catch the Norwegian. Finns in third. Jukka Huttunen closing all the time on the leading group. And behind the Finnish squad, the Italians, Gaudenzio Gaudio, 25-year-old, looking a little weary. Norway 2, Anders Oakland. Now let's have a look at the difference between Norway and Sweden at the 7-kilometre mark. Well, he's opened up a substantial gap now. Great skiing from Alsgaard. He looked so full of energy and strength as they came through the 5-kilometre stage. He was just biding his time before he took it away from the Swede and accelerated to the frustration of Henrik Forsberg. And Alsgaard was just playing with him. Cruel sport. But superb tactics from Thomas Alsgaard of Norway. Forsberg's major worry now is not to get caught by the Finns. Jukka Huttunen is very experienced and very strong. Exceptionally fit skier. Huttunen is closing on the Swede with every strike of those poles. The Italians still in with a chance. They'll certainly pick up some points, if not a podium place. Gaudenzo Gaudio comes through the 7-kilometre mark. Sixth place, his best results in World Cup this season. Gaudenzo Gaudio. That was in Val di Fiemme. On home snow, of course, where all the athletes seem to really turn it on. Out in front, Thomas Alsgaard. 8 kilometres, 2 to go. And Alsgaard has got this one in the bag. Henrik Forsberg having been handed a very strong position at the change, failing to capitalise. Not as strong as the Norwegian. Huttunen still closing the Swede down as he comes through the 8-kilometre mark. And behind him will be Gaudenzio Gaudio of Italy. Hartman, 23 years of age. Italian coach awaiting Gaudenzio Godio. Here he is. He'll receive some words of wisdom from the coach. 2 kilometers left. But an impossible task ahead of him to close down the Finn ahead of him. Norway 2. Anders Auckland. Mikhail Botmanov for Russia, just ahead of Norway 3. This man has victory in his sights on home snow, the pre-Olympic event. The icing on the cake this for Norway this season. To win as much as possible here in Lillehammer. Just to send a word of warning around the skiing world. We are ready for you. We've got an Olympic Games next year at home, and we plan to clean up, and they really mean business, the Norwegians. Thomas Alsgaard, the final leg for Norway. Broken away from Henrik Forsberg, who lies in second for Sweden. Have to feel a little bit sorry for the Swedes. Really up against it. Their Scandinavian neighbours have just wiped the board this season in all the skiing disciplines. As Alsgaard comes into the stadium for the last time to receive the applause from the thousands of Norwegian spectators who have come to support him. Norway won. Terje Langley skied a fine opening leg. Sture Sivertsen took it up for the 10 to 20 mark. Third leg for Krista Sorgard, and Thomas Alsgaard coming through to seal the victory for Norway. The arms go up. There it is. No doubt about it, the winner. Norway won. Just a few seconds behind Sweden. Nicholas Jonsson, Dagny Mogren, Matthias Fredriksson, what a leg from him. And Henrik Forsberg, who could do nothing about the skill and speed and strength of Thomas Alsgaard. Henrik Forsberg comes through, second place for Sweden. A good result nonetheless for them. And Alsgaard doesn't look in the slightest bit tired, does he? Quite astonishing. Finland coming through for third. Juha Aho-Hauta, Harri Kirsvenimi, Jari Isometsa, and finally Jukka Hartman, who was gaining on the Swede with every step. Not enough though. Third place for Finland. And Thomas Alsgaard looks like he's just been for a stroll. I don't think he's even sweating. Italy coming through, expected to finish among the top three. Gaudenzio Gaudio, Gianfranco Porvaro, Giorgio Vanzetta and Silvio Faune. And Gaudio skied the ankle leg for Italy. Fourth place. Norway 2, Oyvind Skarnes, Erling Jevni, Sigurd Brås, and the ankle leg by Anders Hauklend, but he needs to look out behind him. The Russians are coming fast. And the Russians take it just ahead of Norway 3. Mikhail Botvinov holding off the challenge from Egil Christiansen. The results then: Norway 1, take it from Sweden. Finland 3rd. That's the 1, 2, 3 and podium places. Italy just out of it in 4th. Norway 2 in 5th. Russia 6 and Norway 3 in 7th. So Norway showing the depth they had within their cross-country squads. Sensational skiing from the Norway team, especially this man who toyed with his opponent and then broke away casually and quite brilliantly. Thomas Alsgaard brings victory home for Norway this pre-Olympic event. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage. Matt Chilton, good evening to you.